Today we're making the Sichuanese twice cooked pork, aka huíguōròu, which literally means meat that returns to its wok. But why on earth would you return a piece of meat to its wok? Trust me, after this video, you're gonna fall in love with double cooking. That means that from now on, you're gonna be cooking your pizza twice, baking your cakes twice. No, just joking. Don't do it. It's silly. It doesn't make sense. Don't do it. There's no need to cook a pizza twice. Before we dive into this recipe and before you start to fall in love with double cooking, you're gonna be falling in love with double pressing the like button as well as the notification bell. By clicking the like button as well as the notification bell, you mean that you love us twice. Twice. We love you too. 3 times. First thing first, what kind of pork? huígōròu, middle section of the ham, will be the best choice. But we went for the pork belly, which is often used for this recipe as well, and it worked just perfectly. When I say pork belly, I mean pork belly with skin on. What we did was roasting the skin of the pork by applying pressure on our wok on high heat. Then on open flame to make sure that we eliminated any hairs while removing any bad smells. After obtaining a semi-crispy and golden skin, it was time for some cutting. Leeks into big chunks, then we peel some ginger, then cut into slices with some of it into stripes, while keeping these separate. And you'll know why. Okay, here if you cannot find any garlic sprouts to obtain these nice chunks, go straight with leeks or even green onions. Make sure that you separate the bottom chunks with the rest of the leaves. The original recipe does not include any of these ingredients, but I wanted to add some extra fragrance and color by adding some bell peppers and argentiao, which you could also substitute with some regular shishito peppers instead. I soaked the fermented black beans in 2 water before draining and setting aside. And the doubanjiang, which I cut into thin pieces to avoid big chunks in my mouth later. A bit of background here, a few things that you want to know you want to use to show off while ordering Chinese food for your family at your favorite Chinese restaurant. The first thing is that huíguōròu is one of the most famous and beloved Sichuanese recipes ever. That is because it is using too many ingredients that are really representative of this great cuisine. And I'm referring to You didn't know that, right? That is fermented black beans as well as doubanjiang, fermented broad bean chili paste. The second thing that you want to know is that twice cooked pork, literally translated as meat that returns to his wok, does actually return to his wok. You'll see later. You'll see later. And the third thing is that, as most of the great dishes we enjoy nowadays, this dish also comes with a legend. Well, that says that a member of the Imperial Academy, like a scholar, a genius, like me, you, well, we're all genius. No? Well, this guy was paying his tribute to his ancestors. He returned to his hometown in Chengdu at that time, and for all these rituals, people were actually using pork. And as a sign of respect to the ancestors, pork was presented during these rituals without any seasonings or flavors. And after the rituals, people would enjoy the tribute, that pork, with some simple seasonings. But see the genius here, that guy was really in love with stir-fry things. Then once he was done with the ritual, he returned the pork to the wok and he started with some crazy freestyle. And believe me on that, exciting. Time to turn on the heat. That didn't sound like a heat, but yeah, that's just a sound. Pork belly into a pot with water, together with ginger slices, chunks of leeks, Sichuanese peppercorns, and some Shaoxing wine. Cover with the lid and cook at medium heat for 30 minutes. I then removed the pork belly from the water and I tried to cool it down. While realizing that that thing would have taken me ages, I decided to use the fridge. A smart move. I'm a genius, just like the guy. Genius. Couple of hours, or even more if you have time, and you should be getting back a somehow dry pork. The key here is to avoid the double cooking straight afterwards, as the moisture level would cause the meat to break down into pieces while ruining the whole dish. Just wait. Put the pork belly into the fridge, let it cool down for at least 3 hours. Just do it. Out of the fridge and cut the pork into slices, as thin as you can do without cutting your fingers. Watch out. I then returned the pork belly to a preheated wok, not much oil needed, and stir-fried it for a few minutes to brown it, while letting the fat melt down into a fragrant oil. Once things start to get goldish, time for the fermented douchi, the fermented black beans. A good stir, and now time for the doubanjiang, last time fermented broad bean chili paste. Another good stir, and it was almost the time to add in the diagonal chunks from the garlic sprouts, as well as the ginger stripes. Stir well and wait for the meat and veggies to absorb the sauce. Add in the sugar and stir well. Finally, add in the green and red peppers, and guess what? Keep stirring. And as a final step, add in the green leaves that we left before from the garlic sprouts inside with some Shaoxing cooking wine for the extra stir. And look at this. I mean, just look at this. Just look at this. Wow. Just look at this. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful with all these colors? I mean, he speaks Sichuanese. And if you want to learn more about Sichuanese dialect, as well as Sichuanese cuisine, do not forget, same thing as the double cooking, the double clicking on the like button, as well as on the notification bell, which is going to make us grow this community of foodies, right? Foodies, because that's what you are, we are. My name is Gianluca from Chinese team, and we're gonna connect the dots between you and authentic Chinese cuisine, because why are we doing this? Because we're inspired by this mission.